welcome to the Discriminating Gamer, the board game review show that was always a bit more about Schmidt Jack Nicholson than the Shining Jack Nicholson. My name is Cody. Say, if you're like me and you've had it with democracy, you may get a kick out of King's Ransom Deluxe from Victory Point Games. King's Ransom Deluxe from Victory Point Games is a chess variant, but it's a very unusual chess variant in that you don't have a chessboard and you don't have chess pieces. Instead, what you do have is a number of cards. And you've got a lot of the basic cards you have from chess. Of course, you have your kings, you have queens, you have pawns, you have knights, you have rooks, you have bishops. You've got all of those basic pieces. But then you have kind of more powerful pieces, kind of the same class, if you will. More powerful bishops, more powerful knights, etc., etc., etc. Now, how the game works is you imagine kind of a 3x6 grid. 3 across, 6 long. Now, what you're going to do in this two-player game is each player is going to place their king on the center on the row that is closest to them. Then, after shuffling their decks and having their opponent cut the cards, they can go ahead and put out one card on either side of the king, and then two directly in front of the king. Then you draw a hand of 3 cards, and you can mulligan if you're not happy with that opening draw. Now, with the exception of the king, all the cards that you laid down at the beginning of the game are going to be face down. So on your turn, the very first thing you do is you reveal one of your cards. And some of your cards may have a reveal event, or something triggers when you reveal it, or it may not. Then you can either move the face-up card you just revealed, or any other card you have on the board, which is also face-up. Now, you move cards kind of like standard chess pieces. And up in the corner of each card, it kind of shows how they move, how they attack, or if they can move and attack with the same movement. Now, when you move and capture cards, you can capture face-down cards of your enemy. Now, that's interesting because you're taking a risk there. You don't know what is underneath that card. Then, if you have put the opposing king into check, you have to announce it. Just like in regular chess, you have to call check to let your opponent know their king is in danger. Next, you play a card, and by playing a card, that just means you take a card from your hand, and you place it face down on any empty space within that 3x6 grid. Finally, you draw a card from your deck, bringing your hand back up to 3. That's essentially it. You're playing this chess game with these rules. You're putting the different cards down, you're moving, you're attempting to take out your enemy, you're attempting to put your enemy's king in check. Now, once you've captured the enemy's king, or there's nowhere for him to move, that is checkmate, and you win the game. Now, the two-player game, you're playing with the blue and the red decks, but there are additionally a yellow and a green deck, so that you can actually play a 4-player version of this game if you'd prefer. That is essentially the game. It's chess on a grid, on a 3x6 grid, and you're playing these cards face down, so you don't know exactly what is what. This is very, very interesting. Now, in a standard game of chess, you are always running risk assessment, right? You're always saying, well, I can take out that knight, but it may cost me my bishop. Or I can take out that pawn, but I'm not going to sacrifice my knight. Or wait a second, I could give up my rook to get their queen. You're always thinking, what can I get for what I give? You're always thinking that in chess. And you can't always really do that in King's Ransom Deluxe. Sometimes you'll have that opportunity when you've got a face-up card and you're going after one of their face-up cards, but even then you're not sure because you may not know what the other cards around it are. You may end up doing something really stupid, like sacrificing a queen for a pawn. There are things that will pop up that are kind of like that in this game. And it's fun, it's scary, it's interesting. It's a good game with a lot of choice. Now, it's not a particularly long game, and it's a strategic game to be sure. Because you don't have that constant risk assessment, it's probably not quite as strategic as chess because you just have to take some chances here sometimes that you can't really take in chess. That's not a bad thing at all. In fact, it's interesting. It kind of heightens chess in some ways. But this is, as I say, a fairly quick strategic game. It's got some depth to it, it's got some choices to it, but it's not a game you're going to be agonizing over for hours like you can sometimes with chess. Now, I got to tell you, of course, my favorite chess variant of all time is Victory Point Games For the Crown. For the Crown is a deck builder with chess. It's awesome. King's Ransom Deluxe is good, but it doesn't approach the level of For the Crown, in my opinion. They're very different games. Very different games. Both based on chess, but they're very different. I love For the Crown. I like King's Ransom Deluxe quite a bit. Now, I got to tell you, card quality is not the best. Victory Point Games is one of those companies that I really like. They put out just some phenomenal games. Sometimes the component quality, it's never horrible, but it feels like it could be a little bit better. Card quality here isn't great, but it's good. It works. So if you like chess variants and you're looking for something maybe a little bit different, the recommendation for the Discriminating Gamer for King's Ransom Deluxe is buy it. Thank you once again for joining us today on The Discriminating Gamer. As always, we ask you to please leave a comment for us on YouTube, on Board Game Geek, on our Facebook page, or on thediscriminatinggamer.com. We ask you to please like us on Facebook and subscribe to us on YouTube. We are The Discriminating Gamer. And remember, kids, winners don't do drugs. And sometimes you may lose the game, too, but still, don't do drugs. So just, whether you win or whether you lose, stay off drugs.